you very much. I was reading the IPCC reports on nuclear. They're not quite as gung-ho as you are, Mr. Keefer. They rate the serious question about risk of proliferation, negative environmental impacts, mixed effects on human health. They talk about the long timeline it takes to actually get one of them up and running. And they talk about the risk of accidents and radioactive waste management. So that's the IPCC report. But I'd like to focus on the issue of proliferation because these small modular reactors are different than CANDU. So, Mr. Keefer, we're going to be pitching this technology to the global south where it's possible to extract plutonium. How are you going to address that issue of the threat of proliferation of nuclear?
I pass the question to another.
I'm asking you.
Yeah. No, I'm happy to answer part of that. I'm not a nuclear engineer. This issue of nuclear energy leading to nuclear weapons, we have some interesting examples. Look at South Korea and North Korea. North Korea, a country with no civilian nuclear program and nuclear weapons. South Korea, a country that is about 40% powered by nuclear energy, right?
Our technology,
right.
The small modular reactors that you can get plutonium from. They're not CANDU reactors. So why are we selling them if you can get plutonium from them?
So plutonium is created as part of neutrons bombarding uranium-238 inside of reactors around the world. It is incredibly difficult to extract plutonium from spent nuclear fuel like that. I'm going to leave that to my.
I have to go on.
Sure.
I only have 6 minutes. But
sure. I
mean, listen, I'm just Charlie for Northern Ontario, but I'm reading the IPCC. And they have flagged this as a serious concern. So I just want to go to the Toronto Star. April 2nd, David Olive, I'm sure you read his article on questions about these small modular reactors. He says that over 20 years in development, still in the concept stage, current SMR designs won't achieve widespread deployment until the mid-2030s. By then, they will have been overtaken by improvements in existing clean energy sources and future advances in biomass, hydrogen, methane emission reductions. He says that SMRs are a boutique technology, and given the urgency of the climate crisis, even a modest distraction by SMRs is an extravagance we can't afford. And then he refers to it as a boutique boondoggle. Given the fact that we know these other technologies are up and ready to go, why go down this road?
Charlie, you mentioned biomass. Biomass is a terrible source of energy. We're taking land that could be used to grow food and turning it into fuel. We're turning wood chips into power. We currently, the largest plant in the UK, they burn 4 gigawatts of wood chips from South Carolina, right? So saying that a biomass is a solution, the SMR that we're pursuing here is based on existing technology. It's just a scaled down version of a larger power plant. This isn't a bogeyman. We've been operating boiling water reactors around the world since the 60s.
We get told that we're afraid of this. In fact, you told us I could go home to my people and tell them they could eat uranium. I mean, God help us. Us people in Northern Ontario.
You're misquoting me, Charlie. I did not say that.
You said that we made a mountain out of a molehill
over
nuclear waste. When the questions that are being raised about the small modular reactors and the enriched uranium, this isn't CANDU waste. This is a different kind of waste. And, I come from Northern Ontario. We live with rock. Rock moves. Water moves. I don't know if maybe Yvonne Jones wants it, but you guys, you send your people to our area all the time looking for a place to dump it because it's a serious issue. But the CANDU reactors have a kind of technology, but this is different. And you haven't addressed the fact that we're talking about an enriched uranium that there's serious questions about. So am I supposed to go home and tell people in Northern Ontario, hey, it's all been overblown, you can fit it in a hockey arena, you can eat it?
So, Charlie,
that's not a plan.
You're right that Canada has homegrown nuclear technology where we use non-enriched uranium. The rest of the world uses slightly enriched uranium in their reactor fleets and are managing their waste. The Onkalo site, the Finnish site for their DGR, is going to be holding waste from those kind of reactors. Canada is actually unique in using non-enriched. This is not a major issue. And again, waste being managed worldwide.
The modular reactors are different than CANDU, and that's the question that Mr. Romano, the physicist, gave at the Environment Committee, was that because it's enriched uranium, it's a different waste, and it's a more problematic waste than dealing with what we're still trying to figure out where to put the CANDU.
It's the waste that's produced in reactors basically everywhere in the world outside of Canada, and it's what's going to be put into the Finland depository. I think you really need to consult with some more physicists on this and some more nuclear engineers on this to understand this issue in more depth. And in regards to the IPCC, in regards to the...
He's a physicist, and he raised this because the idea that, boy, oh boy, you can eat the uranium once it's
I never
spent.
said that, Charlie.
Well, you said you did.
I
said if it sits long
I said
enough.
after 1,000 years, after a thousand years, the only way it could hurt you is if you pulverize it and ate it. I'm not suggesting anyone eat nuclear waste, Charlie.
Well, I've been in Northern Ontario, and we've dealt with nuclear issues time and time again. And if you're 7,000 feet underground, water moves. If you go 7,000 feet
Charlie,
underground,
talk to a geologist, Charlie.
Yeah,
honestly.
I've been there.
No,
I've seen
speak
it.
to some of the geologists.
Yeah, and
okay.
I've never met a geologist who said we should store this in Northern Ontario, especially the SMRs. So you're giving us a great spin, but
Mr. Angus, I
there's
was gonna
serious
say,
issues here.
Mr. Richards was, if you're interested, trying to get into the conversation as well. I don't know if you saw.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair, and through you to the honourable member. Just with respect to the question about SMR technology, I think the fact that it's a new technology doesn't mean that it's not going through the CNSC and our world-class regulator to look at safety aspects. So I think that I trust the great folks at the CNSC who for years have been regulating an industry that has been operating safely and effectively, and I would trust them again with this process as well as they evaluate the utility of this technology and the safety systems around it.
Sorry, so it hasn't been approved yet. It's being tested.
It's moving through the CNSC.
Okay,
process.
thank you.
That's right, yeah, and that's the end of that 6-minute round.